I am God, God, I am sovereign, sovereign, I am free, free. I am God, God, I am sovereign, sovereign, I am free, free.
As humanity traverses the collective dark night of the soul, we came together and decided to step up amongst so much insanity, to be an authentic, heart-centered and unified voice in sharing our personal stories and experiences, with the hope of inspiring and awakening others into their true nature as the eternal God light and love that we are. In this critical time of evolution, the time is now to choose peace and harmlessness, to seek alignment with truth and courage. The time is now to cultivate our soul, to understand our multi-dimensional selves, whilst guarding and protecting our minds. Let us break down the walls of separation and classification. Let's reconnect our hearts to the oneness. Will you take steps to heal yourself, to choose pro-human values? Our inner work is to free ourselves from pain and delusion, so we can live with clarity and coherence in service to others and our communities. What is the agenda of the anti-human controllers? What is the agenda of divide and conquer? Imagine what life could be like right now if you lived on this planet in harmless actions. How can we stand up for our inherent human rights? Can we do the right thing in the face of tyranny, in reclaiming our sovereign freedom, demanding truthful information and full disclosure? For one and for all, we are the Truth Pulse. Welcome to the Truth Pulse, our first one of the new year. So happy new year to all of our viewers. Happy 2021. And what a year it's turning out to be already. So yeah, we just want to send peace and love to everyone.
Happy New Year. Happy
yes, from Sonia and Twanity. So today we're going to have an easy listening one. We're just going to have a nice roundtable discussion. We've been asked a few questions, so we're going to go step right into there. We have the first question is, what can we do to protect our families and our loved ones? So I'll answer first and then I'll hand it over to you ladies. For people with children, so with mamas and papas that have their children, I would say when we do the shield, we do our 12D shield. The shield is awesome protection for our children. The shield actually extends outwards when you're a parent, especially when they're little, and the shield is around the child. So you can program and intend with your 12D shield every single day, or before you go out, you know, as often as you can. The intention for protection of your child as well as yourself. There are also ways of doing sleep state commands, which can be a vulnerable time. So it's very good to also, you know, reinforce your shield before you go to sleep, as also your little ones, if they're having nightmares or they're having sleep time issues, you know, really get into a lovely protective routine. This is what I used to do. So you have prayers and you do the shield and you like have your intention. You can sort of pray with your children, you know, how you would like to have your sleep state. You'd like it peaceful, you'd like it calm. You're there as a, you know, a beautiful restoration. You know, what, using your own, you know, your words, what's powerful for you and your family. Okay, and I think that also the deeper meaning from behind this question. So for those, say for example, your children have grown up. Obviously, they're out there now. They're probably not living with you. What else can we do to protect them? Or even if you do not have children, you have loved ones. Prayer is really powerful. You pray for their protection. You send them love. You also send them compassionate witnessing. So, what is also, I feel is good protection is when you are feeling triggered, because that's when interference comes in. So try to resolve the triggers that you have with your loved ones and with your family. And then in that way, the interference can be cleared. You can intend for the interference to be cleared, and then you'll have more protection, if that makes sense, with your prayer and with your love for them. And it gives you more clarity and more coherence. So it makes your field stronger. It's all about building, your family field stronger and your connections with them. Also, what's very good protection is cutting any negative cords that you may have of any past relationships, ex-partners, troublesome people around you that you cannot cut off ties with, for example, an ex-partner who's a father of your child. So really think about what you can do to protect yourself. It's clearing the negative interference and what is being projected upon you. We cannot help that, what people feel and what they think, but what we can do is be responsible for our own feelings and actions. So the more that you're coming from a place of kindness, loving kindness, is also protection in itself. Resolving issues with people, resolving triggers. Prayer, I found, is very powerful. You also can pray with specific intention. If someone is ill, for example, you can ask on their teams, their beloved teams, to support them, surround them and help them. And also understanding that everyone has free will. So you don't want to overstep the mark. You always ask for their higher self's permission if you'd like to send them healing. Yeah, I think I'm I think I've got most of my thoughts covered there with my feelings for protection. I'm just thinking, I'll try and think of others, but I'll put it onto the table for you both.
I would like to add maybe what you've said perfectly, and you kind of like touched upon important points. With regards to children, I would like to say everything you mentioned, 12D shielding them, but also looking at the social media that they are, because a lot of children now are kind of forced by these circumstances to sort of have online lessons and spend more time online than they would be otherwise. So it's important to kind of be mindful about all the AI tech, which is being also inserted into the AI technology, because we are moving into the quantum computer, D-Wave, all that stuff. They're trying to connect us all to the Internet of all things. All that is going on quietly behind the scenes. So hence we all received updates to our privacy policy in January from all the big tech companies. So this is all done, obviously surveillance and all that is trying to get its way through. So just be mindful and watch and maybe even do a prayer for the computer, like we do run crystal star algorithms through the computer device, like surround them, 12D shield them and run prayer even to assist in neutralizing those harmful frequencies and AI that can be sent to children, especially because it all goes in their subconscious. All the games they play, everything they do, music they listen, apps. I have niece and nephew, and I could see them. I mean, they're only like 9, 11 years of age, but like the way how they use the apps, everything, they're just in it so quick. And it's so important to just be mindful about all these extras that are being carried through these waves to them through the technology. So I would say that's something I wanted to add with regards to children.
Thank you. Very important point. Yes, clearing the AI, clearing any AI. And yeah, those algorithms are amazing. You can visualize the rainbow rays. You know, everyone has their different skill set, whether it's visualizing or just intending, you know, and opening, going into the heart space with clearing our space and commanding our space. And all of our, you know, we have every right to clear all our devices, our internet connections, our, you know, our mobile phones, you know, bless them as well. Oh yes, and so the GSF blessing is also really helpful. So as a neutral, compassionate witness, we declare for their highest expression. It's like offering a blessing for people that are going through a hard time. You know, to witness what people are going through without overstepping the mark, and actually understanding that their challenges that they are going through is their own journey. And, you know, you can do as much as you can to protect them, but at the end of the day, it's their choice. Yeah.
Yeah, because we are in a free will universe, well, multiverse. It's a free will system, so we have to respect that. I wanted actually to mention that as well, respecting, because a lot of people are buying the narrative that is being pumped through the media. So and probably, I mean, I have family who is very much in it and in fear of all this, and you probably too. So it's important to respect where they are and not push and try to control and change their narrative of what they're choosing for themselves. But at the same time, what Linda just mentioned, praying, just being the example of that strength and peace and calmness and stability, perhaps, so that they can see and pick up something energetically through you, rather than pushing and trying to preach them and trying to tell them and fight with them and trying to tell them what's right, what's wrong. It's ultimately their choice. I mean, this is with adults. With children is a bit different. We can still have a bit more sort of input with children, but yeah, what you've said it's very true.
I agree with that.
Sonia, have you got?
Yeah, well, thank you both for that. Thank you both for what you have shared. It's excellent points. I agree wholeheartedly. It's funny because when we were contemplating on what, you know, we would like to share, basically we all, the three of us, had the same, we were on the same wavelength with our ideas. Yeah. So I agree. I won't go into great detail then, because you've both already eloquently expressed those points. I will reiterate too, I agree with both of what you're saying, in that, you know, most of us are not aware of the negative alien agenda social engineering that has taken place, you know, as part of the enslavement package for humanity. You know, we're not used to, or I would say we are used to relying upon others, going outside of ourselves to get the answers, right? We're used to doing that. And we're not going within and trusting our own inner guidance. So to me, when I am considering, you know, my loved ones, and I would speak from our perspective, from my bio family, my parents and my siblings, because I don't have children or in this lifetime, and or pets to protect our companion animals at this time. So I'm referring to my bio family. And when I interact with them, you know, I notice that there's possession and there's mind slides going on. And you know, I'm really not able, I'm able to have a discussion with them, and they're willing to listen to a certain extent, but they're not able to go deeply into conversation about that. And what I've chosen to do about that is I've chosen to honor that. I'm okay with that. To me, it's important to allow them to unfold and understand in divine right timing, because that will teach them that there's at least one person on this earth plane that is not trying to sway and control their consciousness. Whether or not I believe or disagree with how they think and feel, you know, like you both said, you know, we're multidimensional beings. We mentioned divine right timing. We mentioned the interference. It's more peaceful to just let it be and share if they're willing to listen, and if not, you know, then that's okay with me. Another thing that I have done too, which you both touched upon, is I will include them in prayers. And Linda, you mentioned a great prayer. It's a very simple prayer, the God Sovereign Free Blessings. I would say the method that I choose, I say it for myself, but I set the intention to invite in my loved ones, to invite in family, friends, whoever you want to invite in, but I ask permission. If I get a go ahead and it's okay, I say, you know, if you'd like to participate, I invite in the God selves of the people. I ask them to come into the session space. I'm asking the spirit God self of the people. And when they show up, I say, be open to receive. And then I will ask on behalf of myself and all of us to clear black magic, to clear possession, to clear any implants, whatever interference is taking place. And I guess that would be it in a nutshell, you know, for what I do on a regular basis. Most of the time, I rarely ever clear for just myself. I'm always inviting people into the session space if they would like to participate. And I guess the last thing that did come to me is I always ask for help. I always fortify my space by asking for guardian assistance, God force assistance. That's just something, that's where I'm at in my, I would say my healing process. I need that extra support. So I would always recommend, let's say if we're clearing, we had to clear our internet earlier, 3 of us, we had some internet interference. And I asked for assistance from God Force and Guardian teams. I asked, would you please assist us because we're receiving interference? And then I then said the words of, you know, you're not allowed here. I asked for these negative alien presence to leave because they were spying and they were interfering with the internet connection. And I just basically simply said, you're not allowed here. This is a sacred sovereign space. And I asked for Guardian Team God Force assistance to help fortify the space. And it cleared. The internet connection came back on and they cleared. So I guess as long as we're doing our part, right? As long as we're doing our best to align, you know, in integrity and balance and love, and then we call in for assistance, then, you know, it's there and we will be helped. That's my understanding. That's usually what happens for me. So as long as we're authentic and truthful.
Thank you. Yeah, beautifully said. Beautifully said. You know, what was coming to me as you were sharing was feeling into the embodiment of what it really means. I feel that the more that we can embody as a God sovereign and free being, then we're able to be that beacon of love, light, and hope, which is in itself a protection within your space and, you know, within your workplace. Because when you're really like coming from your integral, your authentic self, as Sonia was explaining, that embodiment is a powerful protection. And the more you're able to embody within your heart, your crystal diamond heart, and, you know, the different stages of embodying, eventually, you know, there is a point where you are in direct connection with your God self, and therefore with God and with God's source. And God's source is a protection, the most beautiful protection that we have. It's called the armor of God. and it is like a beautiful golden armor. So, you know, the God force is really, for me, in my heart, union with God and union with God force every single day. I know that is my ultimate protection. So yeah, I just wanted to add that. Okay, are we ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
The winter solstice. Was it another negative alien agenda ploy, as in a psyop? So we're being asked, you know, was it really truthful, you know, this cosmic wave that was coming in over the winter solstice of 2020? And my answer is yes, it was truthful information. The cosmic wave was coming in, and I would say with every, you know, the equinoxes and the solstices that we have, the summer solstice, they can be powerful activation dates for us that are on the ascension path. And I do understand also, I think what the viewer was getting at is the ploy of the New Age hijack. There are cosmic waves that we can tune into, and more often than not, it's best to come within our own meditation and within our own protective space. So, you know, so just to clarify, the winter solstice was definitely a beautiful activation. I see it like another cosmic wave from God, you know, from our Holy Father, Holy Mother, like this wave that comes through, that's reaching us. And, you know, it can be on a daily thing as well. It's not just the 4 times of the year. There can be specific times where, which is happening a lot more since 2012. But I think it's up to us as an individual rather than jumping on a bandwagon. So just to be wary of that. But to be aware of the fact that we have these cosmic waves, you know, very frequently now. And it is for us to, you know, work on embodying and then being able to receive from God's source for our own activation, and for our own reclaiming of our sovereignty. And if any of you would like to add, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did that make
sense?
sense?
That was well said, Linda. It did make sense because that's what I got too. I think that you said it beautifully.
Thank you.
You know, it's discerning. We talked about this before. It's learning discernment. Discernment is so important. Discernment. We have to discern what is correct, not correct, what is true, what is not true. And my truth might be different than yours and yours. It might be different than someone else's, but what is important is that it is true for me. It is true for whomever is listening to the information, hearing the information, reading the information. That is the key right there. We are being tricked constantly on a regular basis. Like you said, Linda, it's the New Age hype. It's the, you know, the entities, part of the negative alien agenda. It's taking the truths and watering them down, mixing it in with lies and illusions. It's like, how do you make sense of anything on this planet? It's very difficult. It's very difficult. So what I do is it's like building a muscle. We practice trusting our inner guidance. That's the only thing that we can do at this point. Mm-hmm. So if I read a piece of information or if I hear someone say something, what I do is sometimes I have an immediate like, oh no, no way. No, thank you. No, not for me. No. And I immediately cut it off. Sometimes I'm like, a little bit interesting. And then if I start to listen to it, I'm like, ooh, I don't know about that, but I can glean a little bit from that. I can take a little bit from that, and I can kind of see where the person's coming from, but it's not completely true for me. But thank you, and I'll say thank you to myself. You know, I just keep it to myself, and then I take what I can from it, and then I discard the rest. This is what we always say at the end: take what resonates, discard the rest. And then sometimes things are like, wow, yeah, that totally resonates. I totally get that. I totally feel that. So I would say until, like I said, it's like building a muscle. Until a person gets to that point, it's okay if you change your mind later down the road. You know, if something feels true to you at this point, then I would say go with it. If it doesn't, then I would say don't. We have to start practicing trusting our inner guidance. Even if we change our mind down the road and we feel, oh, maybe it was true and I didn't listen to that advice, well, it's okay. Okay, we have to start trusting our inner guidance with that. For me, I can relate totally to my consciousness being shut down. There was possession I was dealing with. There was implants, hybridization, very gnarly stuff done to my light body consciousness. So the way that I have gained coherency with the hybridization, possession, okay, is continuing to clear, peeling away the layers. And I've had to bring in the spirits of Christ. Now, some people may be aware of this, some people may not be, but we have to override the negative ego. We have to override the poisons that have infiltrated our light body. Spirits of Christ are purity, generosity, patience, kindness, discipline, conservation, diligence, and humility. So this is what I've done. I have embraced all of those components, and all of those virtues, what they start to do is they start to peel away and override the negative ego, the spirits of the negative ego. And they're actual spirits, okay? Just like we have positive spirits, we have the negative spirits. These positive virtues will override lust, addiction, wrath, rage, greed, avarice, envy, jealousy, gluttony, waste, laziness, discouragement, pride, and self-importance. So until we build our house of Christ, okay, that's called building the house of Christ, by the way. Okay, so until we do that, we will continue to resonate with the controller forces and their enslavement agendas, making it very difficult to feel or see the shifts that are occurring. Because I went through the same thing, so it's very difficult to discern until you start clearing away the poisons, the miasma.
That's great. That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to add that on top of everything that you've said about discernment, but actually around sort of 21st of December, plus minus 10 days, obviously we had an important astrological conjunction going on between the Saturn and Jupiter conjunction, which doesn't happen very often, and it was really quite important. So talking about discernment, it's finding the sources that resonate and feel true, and getting the feeling. What Sonia was saying, and Linda, you were mentioning that as well. How do we learn discernment? Because information could be presented so sweetly, so beautifully, so like, yeah, I mean, this is great. It's via the feeling, it's via that sensing, it's like higher sensory perception, developing that, sensing the resonance, sensing something's off. So that's probably what I wanted to add. And also something about the solar rishi return. So I know in one of the blogs, Lisa mentioned about the return of the solar rishi, which will happen by the end of December. Sort of, it'll be fully kind of braided into this matrix, into our density, and all of the Milky Way will be braided. And solar rishi there, the free primal fields, so this is the free manifestation rays that are at the origin of our universal time matrix and even at the origin of us. Is it the magenta, the gold, and the blue ray? So these are the solar rishis that have returned. So correct me if I'm wrong, but these are kind of the events. So yeah, 21st of December was kind of quite significant around that date. But it's just discerning the information around and the hype and the, you know, the wave and the whatever. So yeah, it's just learning that skill.
Thank you. Yeah, both beautiful points there. Yeah, really good sharings there. What was coming to mind as you were saying that, Trinity, is the founder families. So the founder families are, you know, the solar Rishi families are here also helping us to transmute and purge and to support humanity and the planet. So I just wanted to add that. It's been beautiful to know that and experience that. We've been waiting a very long time for this now to occur, and I'd like to give some comfort that no matter how difficult or how hard things look on the outside, and the state of the global shenanigans that's happening right now, just be comforted in knowing that, yeah, the solar rishi are here, and you know, in tandem with our God selves, you know, we're doing all our pieces that we can to support humanity and support the planet, which leads us into our next question. Actually, really lovely. We have been asked to share what has been helpful on the Ascension path for our clearing and for our healing. And the help that we have, you know, the activations that has been happening that I described earlier. So these waves are very supportive. So if we are able to, you know, become still and meditate. So for me, what's helped me is within in meditative states, we're able to help call upon and clear out, you know, the density that's held within us. And, you know, it's really about this daily diligence, you know, the discipline of the spirits of Christ, really embodying those. That's what really has been helpful for me on the Ascension path, day in, day out, and the meditation, because eventually your brain, the brain waves slow down, which creates more space within the mental body. So when the mental body starts, you know, calming itself down, and, you know, you're able to find a bit more of the stillness and the calmness, then you're able to, yeah, just feel more of this sort of calm and this peace, really just strengthening your space within, strengthening your self, especially nowadays. I think for a lot of us, you know, we're in the same boat where we can get sucked in, drawn into the media. And that's not necessarily the mainstream media I'm talking about. That's fear in itself. That's a whole propaganda, which I'm sure many of us try not to, you know, for some of us, it may be our piece that we need to watch all of that information because we're being a truth teller. We also then need to know what the enemy's saying, as they say. We need to know what you know, they're coming out with. So then we can then therefore be able to come out with the truth. You know, I can see it some days, you know, so I have to be aware of certain points. I have to be aware of certain things. So then to be able to be boots on the ground for my own truth, but also to bring forth the truth for, you know, my founder families, or for my teams. It's all about the truth spirit, really. This is the whole purging. This is what I feel is very important for us all to be clearing and healing. You know, what is the truth? And the more that you are, so say, for example, as I was sharing, you know, you can get sucked into, like, soaking up so much information from the alternative truth movement, and that in itself, I think, is going it's just going haywire as well. So for me, it's really important just to step back and say, hang on, resolve not to have any media input for a few days or a week, just to give me that headspace, that break, of like processing information or witnessing information. It's more important now than ever before, really. We need to be in the right place at the right time, and we're not going to be able to achieve that if we're looking here, there, and everywhere and trying to is that the truth, trying to discern what's coming at us. So yeah, it's very important now to find as much peace as you can, to self-care. What can we do? It took a long time for me to overcome and clear, like trauma and abuse from childhood. So this is all about self-care. What can I do on a daily basis to help heal myself? What can I do to nurture myself? For a lot of us, if we've had difficult childhoods, it's a very difficult question. We don't feel that we even have the right to ask that question. You know what I mean? To say, what do I need? What do I need? What can I do to nurture my heart, or to nurture my body, and all layers of it took me ages to learn that. And to stop caring, to stop caring for others. You've really got to look at our self-beliefs and programs, especially if you're like an empath and you're feeling everyone else's pain and suffering around you, and you want to help alleviate that, but that is another ego program in itself. You cannot take away other people's pain. For me, I had to learn that. It's like they've got to learn how to deal with it. I can't clear it for them. So it is a continual learning. What can we do to help ourselves? What are we attracted to with body work, with body techniques, with trauma release? For me, it's always been Qigong from an early age. Qigong's really helped me to become grounded. Because I'm very sensitive to energy, it helps me to feel good Qi, my positive Qi, as well as my negative Qi. And then I was able to clear out a lot of stuff, with, and also it took me quite a few years to, learn this discernment that we often bring up, what the discernment of what am I holding within my body, and then being able to release that, because it can come from mental triggers, it can come from your emotional body. So to be gentle with yourself, it really felt for me it took a long while to have that discipline and diligence. Even though I loved doing the practice, there would be many months that I would be, swayed off my self-care routine and get sucked into people's dramas or my own dramas, and then not doing that self-care, not having a daily practice of Qigong. And, it took me a long while to have this diligence. And now more so than ever, it's really important that we have this, what is good for you, to a physical therapy, or what's going to help you meditate. For me, it's a meditation movement in itself. And maybe some days, you're hanging on by a thread. You've received some upsetting news, and it's very difficult to meditate. That's okay. You can just do a meditative movement, or maybe do some singing, whatever helps you to, for coming to your soul space. This is what's really helped me over the years. It's remembering I am a soul, I'm this, just not just this ego with its ego defenses and this ego dramas, just to keep coming back over and over again. What's going to nurture my soul? Because my soul, your soul, I felt for me, showed me the way when I was able to ask, what's good for me? you know, what helps for my soul to express itself, what makes my heart sing. And for me, dancing was always an awesome outlet and very healing for me as a child. So I would, you know, encourage anyone that's on the path, also with family, is really nurture these soul connections that the children have. Obviously, they're probably a lot more open and connected to their soul. So yeah, really, whatever is making their heart sing, artwork, you know, the creativity, is just really healing, and I think very clearing for many of us. So yeah, I'll let you two chime in now.
Sonia, do you want to go first, or shall you want to
sure,
go first?
Sure. Well, thank you, Linda, for that. That was great advice. Self-care. Excellent. My gosh. Just wanted to acknowledge you for that for a moment. It's so true. I also, besides the self-care for myself that I've had to learn to apply to myself, I also engage in constant self-contemplation. This isn't for everybody. Everybody has their own thing and, you know, their own healing path. This is one thing that I do for myself. It may resonate with some people, but it's a constant checking in with myself. I'm very motivated, I would say, at this time in my life to heal and to ascend. I really want to get out of the muck and the mire, and I really want to fully embody Christ consciousness. And so with that, I have to clear out the dross. And the way I do that is it's a constant checking in with myself. Okay, how do I feel about, you know, this certain situation I was engaged in? Do I like that? And I will compliment myself. Oh, I like that. I like how I responded in that way. And then if there's something that I feel like I could have done differently, then I'll encourage myself and say, okay, and here's some points. It's like I'm self-parenting. Okay, I'm talking to myself and saying, okay, and the next time maybe you could try it a little bit differently. So it's being gentle and kind to myself, but it is a constant checking in with myself. So that works for me as far as, you know, tools and what I'm doing on my ascension, my personal healing path. And I would say that what's also important to me is to be authentic and truthful in all that I say and do. I would say that I was part of the issues I dealt with when I was younger, you know, with the possession and the hybridization and the AI infiltration, is that basically my true essence was masked over. And that's really what the entities have tried to do to all of us. They tried to make puppets out of all of us. We've talked about that many times. And so that you're not really inner sourcing, you're not in touch with anything that's authentic, is what they tried to do to us. So my journey has been about, again, we talked earlier about, you know, building the muscle, trusting myself, even if it feels, you know, a bit wavery or wishy-washy at first, if I'm not completely sure if something is true or not. It's just continuing to try to trust my inner guidance. So being authentic and truthful in all that I say or do is again what I am very much in support of, and I allow it to guide my life, and it's improved. I have practiced it so much that I'm able to, I would say, sense the higher sensory perception starts to come online, and I'm able to weed through the BS. I can sense it very keenly now. And that was all because I trusted myself, and I kept practicing what felt resonant, what felt correct and true for me. And I would say that until you get to that point, you know, because it's a process. You're not going to be able to have that direct knowing experience at first. And and it will continue to increase. But until you can get to that higher sensory perception, higher sensory perception opening, then at least we can ask ourselves, what is in alignment with the law of one? What is in alignment with harmlessness? What is in alignment with unity consciousness? Did that hurt me? Did that hurt somebody else? Did that hurt somebody's feelings? That is what can guide us. Okay? That's what guides us to this gnosis of being able to align with the truth spirit. And I also wanted to mention, Linda, you mentioned the armor of God earlier. That's something that I resonate with as well. The truth spirit is, I would say, an aspect of the armor of God. It is an actual energetic structure. The armor of God can be used to call in and, to protect us. There's an interesting quote that I found about the armor of God that I'd like to read, that I think that sums up everything that I've said. And this is from the ES Ascension Glossary. Thank you to Lisa, Renee, and Tomas. The armor of God protects those of us that are heart-based and spiritually devoted, protecting us against the most heinous levels of spiritual warfare, targeting and that is being directed from the anti-God forces. So I'm not sure if that was enough information to explain what the armor of God is. It's basically everything we've talked about today. It's the spirits of Christ. It's overriding the negative ego. It's getting the miasma and the possession and the AI out of our system. And it's harnessing consistently on a regular basis the armor of God, which is the true spirit. It's love, it's unity consciousness, it's harmlessness, it's the law of one. That is what protects us.
Well said. Thank you. Both of you said, yeah.
Bravo!
Well said. I would like to add my little chime. The interesting thing that when I was contemplating this question is, the question is what helped us on our ascension path, and straight away I was like, well, what helped me before 2012 and what helped me after 2012 are two different things, yeah, because the architecture was started progressively changing after about before 2012, but the 2012 was like a marker. So things that were helping and supporting me before then, after 2012, is just, that's it, wiped out. I could not do any of that, like meditation, the way how I was doing it, all sorts of things, especially with regards to shadow. So before 2012, one can sort of exist in a shadow land and in a light land, and they could be very nicely sort of separated, no problem. After 2012, the shadows started to be very visible, or becoming quite visible. And now with the Solar Rishi grounding themselves here, it's even more visible. So all of us are going to have this advantage of visibility of the shadow body, of the pain body, of visibility of all the unfinished business that have been accumulated, this miasma, everything that needs purging. Now, good news, great, we will be able to see it because the architecture is no longer able to hide it or support it. The black magic grids are collapsing. So this is good news. So now it's easier than ever to work on oneself, to work the tools, to apply all these different techniques. This was my one piece I wanted to mention. So I think everything you mentioned, I also agree. I mean, this is it, like doing this self-reflection on a daily basis, because ego is very crafty. We've all been sort of injected with this predator egoic type of construct within us. So it's kind of constantly ongoing. We've all been wounded. So the inner child wounding, all that will have possibly a couple of possessions and entities attaching to it and siphoning us through that. So all that is quite important to work on daily. What Linda was saying, the discipline, the spiritual house cleaning and maintaining, setting up your space, doing your shielding. I would say, for me personally, in this volatility, which is experienced in the outer scape, in the field, I'm coming back to the meditation. What Linda, you mentioned, and Sonia, you both mentioned, it's something like when we are standing in the storm, amidst the chaos, we are coming back to the still point, and the still point is not outside, it's within. And this, for me, it's coming back to regular meditation practice, because this is when I can sit down and connect to God, to still point, remind myself that I'm actually connected to the source is through me, in me, around me, everywhere. And it's a good reminder, because it's so easy to get lost in the personality matrix. And especially what Linda, you were saying, you've been used, everything. Gosh, you know, there is so much going on. It's just like so easy to polarize. This is what duck ones are doing at the moment. They're polarizing everybody in order to create this kind of schism, divide and conquer polarization. Because when we are polarized, we are weak. When we are in a Trinity field, we're strong. And the Trinity field is connection to the source. So we need to find a way during the day that we can connect to the source. And for each one of us, it will be different. For me, it's meditation. For some of you, it will be connecting to your art, doing something with music, doing something with painting. Linda said dancing, you know, spending these unique moments with your children, being in the now, being in the moment, connecting to the breath. We are moving into the, we're moving into the frequencies where the time is going to be losing its meaning. It's not going to be the same concept of time as we knew it. So when we're in the now, we're out of time. We're in this moment, and everything is coming through us. So a lot of people, when you mention the word meditation, they're like, oh my God, I can't clear my mind. It's impossible. I just cannot. My mind just keep doing this all the time. And anyway, it's very difficult for me. It's not for me. But what I would say is just to remind to people and to myself is that there are 3 types of meditation: contemplation meditation, we have concentration meditation, and transcendental meditation. So these 3 types, depending where your mind is, you can choose which one will work for you at any given time. If the mind is the monkey mind, choose the concentration, concentrate on the breath, even for 10 minutes, and then you calm yourself down, or concentrate on an object, or concentrate on a mantra, or concentrate on cleaning, do a movement meditation, concentrate on any of the senses that you can have. If your mind is peaceful, go into the contemplation of what Sonia was saying, contemplate on your behavior, on your shadow, what is rising for you, what needs clearing, what needs to be cleared or dissolved or transited, whatever it is. Maybe it's a piece. Concentrate maybe on a dream you had last night. Go in that dream, see if you can neutralize or recover parts of your identity or parts of your lost piece that you are recovering from your light body. So these kind of like little practices, they will all help you. And of course, the transcendental meditation, this is like, wow, if you can get to that point where you could just be no mind, no time, you are in that still point, you're communing with that divine source, essence of yourself. That's fantastic, but not, it's just like, don't try to get into the transcendent state very quickly or pushing yourself. So this is a little bit on meditation I wanted to mention so the people don't get put off by that. And this is quite important to have those times. Also important to remember, we are heavily mind controlled, you know, constantly on a daily basis. We are pumped, not just through the media, we are pumped through our technological devices, even, you know, it's everywhere. It's everywhere now with the 5G that is being installed everywhere, the nets that are creating the smart meters in homes, the radio waves, everything. We are pumped with the frequency waves, and our brain aligns with it. Our brain frequency is synchronized with that. So we have to be very, very mindful and purge these AI influences daily as well. So this is another important thing to sort of read a little bit on implants, on mind control, and on Ascension glossaries. Incredibly sort of in-depth information in there to get it, because it's not something that is easily digested. We've never been taught that. So I'm just trying to see, I jotted down a few things. Yes, recovering our light body pieces. We mentioned in our previous podcasts that obviously we have a light body, of course we do, yes. We are not just 3D little bodies running around. And these little pieces are stuck not only in the grids of the earth, they are stuck in different time-space continuums. So your past, present, and future, it's like if we see it as a line, our pieces will be stuck somewhere there. So, and sometimes our dreams, coincidences, some kind of thoughts that might come to us, they might be pointing out to a piece that is stuck somewhere there. So this is important to kind of be mindful of it and also allow yourself time to process and return to rightful owner, collect those pieces, observe them, witness them. If it is a feeling, allow yourself to process that, because we are currently, timelines are merging and realigning, and old timelines are closing, new timelines are initiating. All this stuff is going on now. So that's why it's important to also be mindful and conscious about this. And it doesn't have to be an elaborate practice. It's just your awareness is enough to do that. So this is my little piece. I think I mentioned what I wanted to say. Anything you want to
you need to clap as well there. Beautiful, beautiful, Trinity. Thank you.
It just
Well, I feel motivated to do some transcendental meditation after I heard you say that. I'm like, I want to totally zone out and do that.
It's the king. It's the king and the queen. It's the Raja. It's the highest form of meditation. Is transcendental, but that's okay. Other meditations are also, they're all playing a part. So.
Oh, I'll chime in there with it. Yeah, I love the way you were describing the architecture, and that's a lovely reminder of the beautiful God architecture that we have, that we can tap into to support ourselves now in helping, clearing and healing ourselves. Really important, because the more we're building our own architecture and we call upon the God source architecture, it is here now. It's supporting us. Yeah, that's just such a beautiful reminder. And what else? There was something else. It's gone.
Whilst you're thinking, I can just say that not be afraid, because we will see a lot of people around us, our loved ones, who might be going through this purging process, or like the shadow body starts presenting, and it might sort of start spinning people into different, suddenly the person becomes very grieving, or relationship breaks up. Things are going to be happening out of the blue, because everything is restructuring at the moment. So this is in a way a positive thing, but it seems like it's a distraction. It seems like it's the end of the world, but it's not. It's actually an important part of purging. Yeah. So we're just reminding our listeners that actually it's a positive thing that is happening. We need to be able to see the goodness in that, but that seeing can only come from a place of stillness and neutrality. If we are polarized, we're in the game. So that's it. There is the game, and there is the space beyond the game. So beyond the game is the neutral place. So, and it's like, this is the muscle we have to work now, each one of us, on a daily basis, the muscle of getting ourselves into the neutral Trinity field, where we are feeling, connecting, living the source. We are the source. We are one with the source. So it's drinking from that on a daily basis, which will enable us to see the bigger picture of everything that is going on now. Because, as I said, what we see, and if we start going, and like Linda, you were saying, trying to do this, to do that, it's all gonna just polarize us even more and make us unstable. We need to stay stable and centered.
Yes, because yeah, perfect. Yeah, this is it. The collective miasma that is flying around from everyone going through the dark night of the soul and all this purging that's going on. We really have to be careful and keep an eye on what's flying around and be aware of that. As maybe as an empath, you might be. For me, the other day, I was really feeling the collective miasma. Oh boy, you know, you don't want to be. You must not succumb. You know, for all of us, I'm speaking. You know, it's about not succumbing to the pit of despair. There is that out there, and when you're purging, that is the polarity is what you were describing. Try not to, you know, get sucked into it and succumb to the despairing feelings and this polarity that's going on. Keep remembering. For me, I had to immediately, this is it, get into my 0 point, get into my heart. This is the truth. This is who I am. It's not out there. I'm not succumbing to this despair. I'm not succumbing to this collective miasma. You know, that's out there. What have I got in here? Me, myself, my truth, my heart, my God source connection. You know, you go into 0 point and I was like, yeah, okay. It immediately strengthened. And, you know, just constant, this is just constant. Yeah. What was also, that was it. I know it's come back now. Is there any specific techniques that either of you could share? As our lady viewer mentioned that she found TRE to be really helpful. I haven't tried that myself personally, but I've heard it's a really lovely, useful technique, you know, body work, really helping you release anything, blockages and storing of trauma. I was just thinking of other techniques I've heard that's really good is Scaravelli yoga. I've always wanted to try that. That's really helpful. I'm just thinking of other like bodywork techniques. Have either of you tried?
Well, yoga, obviously, yoga is fantastic. Yeah. If you know, there is a lot of Zoom, you know, there is a lot of like on YouTube, different channels, like plenty of yoga. There is a breathing technique that can help to calm you down very, very quickly. And again, that is from a yoga, it's a yoga technique, but it's when you inhale and as you exhale very slowly and as if you're blowing like as if you are blowing into a tube. So you are basically slightly abstracting your exhalation. Yeah. And because your exhalation is abstracted and it's coming really slow and you're really exhaling it to the very end, it encourages you then to take a deeper inhalation. So you're basically not controlling, but yes, you are navigating your breath and you're slowing down your breath consciously. And once you're slowing down your breath, you will slow down your mind because the mind and the breath are connected. So this is one of the techniques that I use very briefly. If I lose my center suddenly, something hits me or I get triggered or something happens, I immediately start sort of very slowly exhaling quietly, invisibly, nobody could notice. And I'm coming and I'm just doing this deep breathing, and it's diaphragmatic breathing as well, not the shoulder breath. So keep the shoulders steady, but just nice deep belly breath, but encouraging a slightly longer inhalation each time by exhaling slowly. So that's what I found as a technique. And of course, shaking the body is another one, which is very quick and very good to do. If you don't have a high blood pressure, anything to do with putting your head down will immediately calm you down because the blood will rush to the brain and it will reset everything in your brain. So when you come up slowly, it'll be like, what was I stressing about? So that's why forward bends, whether sitting or standing, would be quite good for calming yourself. But again, if you have high blood pressure, and don't come up too quick, you know, you have to come up slowly from the bend.
That's very helpful. Thank you for that. Yeah, I was going to mention that actually, breathwork techniques. For you know, from day one, for years and years, breathwork has always just got me through. Yeah,
music, breathwork, music as well. What you said, moving, just switching the music on and just doing different moves can help. Anything with the body, because the body is doing a lot of work for us. at the moment. So,
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that I agree with you both in when you're talking about movements, moving the body. And I would add, you already said it, but I would add to reiterate for myself is that moving energy, learning how to connect in with the body when we're moving our body. You know, you can also just dance for the fun of it, because there's different ways to release the tension. There really is. I have found it helpful, especially during Ascension, if we wanted to tap into those higher sensory aspects of ourselves, okay, the multidimensional aspects. We want to start clearing that away, to start feeling our body, feeling our presence. And then, so there's Qigong, Linda does Qigong, Tai Chi. You know, it's about taking and feeling the energy in the air as you're doing the movements. And of course, you can learn how to do that. And there's classes on that. Linda has classes. There's classes on the internet, etc., out in the community. So I would recommend that. I also would say simply do nice things for people. It helps to heal the heart if we are I would say, we're being generous towards someone. You know, it could be a variety of things. You know, things will pop up. Maybe someone needs a lift somewhere, give them a ride somewhere to the store, or make them dinner or something, you know, whatever it is, you know. But what I'm trying to say is that when I do that, when I do nice things for people, it helps to heal my heart. I feel better. It helps to clear the negativity out of the environment.
that's a nice point. That's a very good point, especially as we are now under house arrest, all sitting in our little isolation chambers, yes, on lockdown. So I think this is a good point to, yeah, be mindful and care. Remember to care for other, you know, for other humans. Be kind to each other. Yeah, good point. So, do we have anything? Yeah, Linda, anything else?
Last thing is just like to mention that I'm available for teaching online now for Qigong and being a healer, healing, facilitating, doing session work for people. So if anyone likes to contact me, they can at the Truth Pulse email. Yeah, I'm available now for the new year. So I'm forging ahead more on my purpose, you know, being in service to others. So I think, yeah, we've covered all our questions today. So yeah, I think that's a wonderful roundtable. Thank you both.
Thank you, Linda, for hosting. And thank you, Sonia. Yes, thank you, our audience, for staying with us. And, yeah. Okay, so so this is the time for the closing prayer. Yeah.
Well, we'll do a little wrap up as well, too.
Yeah, Sonia's going to wrap up.
And then Trinity's going to offer us a closing prayer. But I would add in closing, seek out Linda's videos. I've watched them and I've done them. She's very good at what she does. So if you're into the Qigong, if you'd like to try it, it's a form of energy work for the body. And Linda can explain more on that, but I wanted to acknowledge Linda for that. And I'd also like to say, sure. I'd like to say thank you to my sisters, Linda and Trinity. I was going to say Linity. Tongue twisted there. Linda and Trinity. And thank you to our viewers. We always like to say, take only what resonates, because we can only offer our point of view and our perspectives, and we're healing right along with you all. Thank you for joining us, and we love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and take good care. And thank you.
And stay strong and have courage. We will win. We have already won.
Yeah. We just have to be patient.
Yep. Okay, so ready for the prayer?
Yeah.
So this is the prayer to close and seal our podcast field. Beloved God and the eternal Christ families, serving the law of one, please amplify our prayer request. As the avatars of Christ Sophia and the truth spirit that we are, for one and for all, we pray for the sovereign reign of all humanity be restored to Mother God, Father God's natural laws on this earth. May all those that are awakening, feeling betrayed and confused by this Antichrist war that is playing out, we lovingly decree that their hearts are healed, their spirits reclaimed in the power of our Holy Mother and Holy Father that have returned to this earth. May we stand strong with love and courage, bringing coherence to every level of their consciousness, remembering the truth of the infinite God spark that we are. We pray on behalf of our children that the harvesting of Lush end completely. Beloveds, please free humanity of enslavement, deception, and entrapment from the psychopathic death cults. We ask for divine right order and harmony on the Disclosure Ascension timeline. In unity, we will prevail. May the truth set us free. We are the cosmic Christ. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
Thank you. Until next time.